I watched.
You watched it?
Yes.
Okay, you'll be our expert then. Now, we were an operational mine from 1904 until 1974, and the main thing we were looking for was, do you remember? Copper. Oh, there you go.
Copper,
So you didn't even watch the movie and you already know.
Yeah.
It was copper, absolutely. Not the only thing we found too. We did also find lead, zinc, cadmium, as well as gold and silver. Those were all byproducts, not what we were actually looking for, just something that helped to pay the bills along the way. Now, while we were an operational mine, we were also a very isolated town. The highway here didn't come in until the late 50s, so the only way in and out of Britannia would have been by boat. When you did come in, company town, you had to tell the customs officer what your business was in Britannia. If you got a job at the mill here, you were living down where the museum is now, what we call the beach. If you're a miner, you were actually 4.5 kilometers further up the hill than what we call the town site or Mount Shear, and that gave you easier access to all 210 kilometers worth of mines, which is not where we're going today. That would take us way too long. Where we're headed is actually an access tunnel that runs behind the mill, and it's how we would have taken waste rock out. And I'll talk about where it went once we get into the mill. Cool. So quick safety things. Hard hats, please keep them on the whole time. Arms, legs, and video cameras, so heads, stay inside the train. Yeah. Also, we are going to get out and do a little bit of walking around, so just watch your step. You don't want to look like me at the end of the day, but we'll be okay. So, climb aboard. You can go right to the front. Sure. No problem. Yeah, you can go one more. I'm going on that lovely duct tape seat at the front.
Wow.
Two admissions? Anything under the 3. Thanks. Alright, so there's just going to be a little bit of a jolt when we start out. Don't worry, nothing major, we'll survive.
Whoa.
That's the roughest part, I promise. This, as you can see, is painted red. We wanted to show that there was something dangerous in here, and we also made it out of wood. That's because there were lots of ore cars and train cars coming down this way, and we wanted to reduce the chances of sparking. No sense in having an accident up here. Now for safety, we did keep the dynamite up in the upper levels and very close to an entrance. If we were going to have an accident, better up here than deep down in the mine. And you can also see that there's a light in there. That's the only light that we had in the tunnels. All this overhead lighting, that only came in after we became a museum, so that you folks can see what's going on. This light, well, it didn't help our miners, because the door was always kept closed. See, we didn't want it... Sorry, you're translating, right? No, that's okay. We didn't want this to see. We actually wanted this for heat. See, there's a little bit of a problem with dynamite. Inside, you have nitroglycerin. And nitroglycerin becomes very reactive when it gets wet. And as you can hear, there's a bit of water down here all the time. So if the dynamite got wet, nitroglycerin got wet, some clumsy worker dropped it, maybe gave it a little...
Oh.
You can actually set the dynamite off. So it's a good thing these ones are nice and dry. You can try another one if you guys like. No?
Sure.
You can try the next one.
我頭先點過呢個你話俾佢聽。
Oh, my dad was saying he's lived them before when he was much younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
In China.
Oh my goodness. Well, these ones would be kind of hard to light. They're made out of wood.
Yeah.
They don't trust us with the real ones. I wonder why. Now, blasting caps and fuses would have been kept separately. In the red box we'll see on the left-hand side as we go by. And on the right-hand side, this you'll want to get on your camera for sure, you'll see something that looks like toothpaste smeared on the wall. And that's actually copper that's leaching out in the water, and it's oxidizing with the air in here. The best ones are by the big wooden posts, and I will point it out with my headlamp. Also, I'll point out in the water, there are some iron nails. And because iron does react with copper, it's turned those nails pink. So they are not painted. They're actually pink nails that have turned that way because of the copper. So, let's keep going. We'll see some nails and some paint, and then we're going to head down to the drilling chamber. Great.
You got it as
well? Perfect. Alright. Let's keep going. And down here are those pink nails. Do you want a picture of those as well? Down here you can see those pink nails. Oh, but we're on the inside. You got it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay. Right down there. Whenever we find scraps of metal, we just toss it in the water now because we don't want to start using it. Please take everything with you because we won't be getting back on the train. Oh, okay. You got everything?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so if you guys want to come in, right down this right-hand side, we're going to go right to the end.
Oh, please.
That's darn near the same one. Only this one works. Now, in 1904, when the men first started out down here, they were only using hand tools to drill all of their holes. In 1905, I am going to make you remember this date because here's a quiz. 1905 is when we came out with the wood drill. And yes, it's the same one that you saw early on in the visitor center. This did make things a lot faster, but it had a few problems too. First of all, it's kind of big. This weighs almost 300 pounds, and it did have to come in and out of the mine at the beginning and end of every shift, so it would have taken about 3 or 4 men to actually move it in and out. Secondly, it is extremely loud. No hearing protection would cause the men to go deaf really quickly, as this does have a decibel level louder than thunder. But the biggest problem is that it uses a technique called dry drilling. That means when the bit is hitting the rock, it's creating lots of dust. And in our dust here, we have silica, same stuff we use to make glass. Men are breathing that in, it's cutting up their lungs, and they come down with a condition known as silicosis. It was a fatal condition, so they gave this nickname, the Widowmaker, very appropriately named. That being said, let's run it. So ears plugged. We don't have to worry about the dust, but we do have to worry about the noise. Would you like some earplugs?
No, it's just okay. I have one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I can do that.
Okay, hang on. I need to get my earplugs on then. Okay, 3, 2, 1. So you can imagine that for 8 hours a day, you wouldn't have just one going, you would have several of them going at the same time. You can see why the men went deaf really quick.
This is activated by the air.
It is, yeah.
Pressure.
I'll talk about it later, but you're absolutely
okay.
right. It is all pneumatic, it's operated by air, and that started right in 1905. Reason for that, we don't want diesel fumes down here, so there's a diesel generator outside, and that's pumping all the air down into the tunnels here. Now, for anything vertical, you're still using hand tools up until the 1920s, because that's when this drill came out. This was a huge improvement on the wood drill. It's a lot smaller, it's only about 125 pounds, but more importantly, it has water in it. So you now have a line of water that it comes in, up the drill, and through the drill bit, and that means you don't have that dust problem. You do have a new problem though, because the guy standing here and drilling is now being showered in mud for 8 hours a day. So you're going to be very cold and wet by the end of your shift, but at least you're not breathing in that dust. Unless you're working by a Widowmaker, because that was used for all horizontal drilling up until the 1930s. Let's see what replaced it. So 1936 is when we came out with the jackleg drill. Much the same as the stoper drill, but it is a lot lighter and it still runs that line of water. So now you can replace your Widowmaker and you can just use this drill. I'm going to run this one as well. Again, it is fairly noisy. So ears plugged. I'm going to turn on the air and then come back and turn on the drill. Well, it's okay. It's not moving anywhere. Still being used in mining today. Biggest difference is that now the drills have mufflers, much like our car mufflers, so it brings the noise down even more. However, miners say that apparently the muffler slows the drill down. So usually the first thing they do when they get a new drill is they rip off the mufflers. You tried. Now when you came down here, you couldn't start drilling holes wherever you wanted, so you were looking for a target. And that's this yellow line here, a miner's bullseye. You find that as a miner. Once you did, you would drill between 30 and 36 holes in 3 circles in the middle, getting bigger and bigger, row at the top, and a row at the bottom. Once those holes were drilled, you go grab your dynamite, put it in there, and run the fuses right out of the mine. Then you take out all the equipment and men, so neither one gets damaged, and then you set that off in 4 really quick blasts. And that launches the rock out, and you end up with a huge pile of it here, and that's what the miners would call their muck. So we're going to head into the next chamber and see what they did with that muck. Do you guys have any questions before that? No? Well, you said you were using dynamite in China. Were you mining?
Oh, 淨係爆開啲石頭。即係話嗰度啲火咗嘅。
It says it's using it to like wash away rocks when it's the important stuff in the water. And so it's like horrible.
Oh, just to get the rocks out of there.
Oh, you will slide it up. Yeah, that's months of.
So on the side, like on the side of the road.
Oh, okay. Sounds very safe. This is true, yeah. I mean, that's where the majority of the accidents and deaths happen, is because of dynamite accidents. That being said, though, we were actually a really safe mine. For 60,000 workers, for 60,000 workers that were here over that 70-year period, only 173 deaths were counted, which I mean for a mine is very good.
Was it due to like carelessness or was it?
Yeah, it was all because of either carelessness or mostly accidents with dynamite.
Oh, okay.
We're really lucky that this is a hard rock mine, so cave-ins were very seldom. We don't have to worry about any methane gas or anything like that, so no canaries either. So down here, dust settles, next shift comes in, and 2 men get to deal with the muck down here. They got a very sophisticated high-tech tool. What is it?
A shovel?
Well, that's what we would call it, but apparently they called it their muck stick. So 2 guys down here with muck sticks, shoveling the ore over their shoulder and into the ore cars, just like that red one down at the end there that we passed by. Now, naturally, the company had an expectation. Between the 2 of them in an 8-hour shift, they said, you have to be able to produce at least 16 tons of this muck. That means they'd have to fill at least 3, if not 4, of those red ore cars, or shovel the equivalent weight of 10 Honda Civics. That's a lot of muck. So they were very delighted in the 1930s when we came out with the mucking machine. This now, thanks to its little scoop there, can do 16 tons in about 1 hour. I am going to run this one for you as well. It's a little bit louder than a shop vac, so you can plug your ears, but if you don't feel it's too bad, you can definitely unplug your ears. Cool. Now, just like the drills, this one also runs on compressed air, again, for the reason that you don't want diesel fumes, but you also, it doesn't make sense to have your machines run on different things. And here at Britannia, we are environmentally friendly, we like to recycle. Now, there is one more machine that I'd like to show you. It's by far the most important machine, and it's also the quietest. It doesn't run on any compressed air. Right down here. Sorry. Now, the men did have to stay here for their entire 8-hour shift. That did include lunch. So what do you guys think? Lunch wagon?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Lunch cart?
Lunch cart? Cooler, maybe? Bring in nice cold beverages?
Yeah, no.
Beer? Well, lunch made it here eventually. I don't think you'd want to eat directly out of it, though. This is our honey wagon. We're very proud to have the deluxe version. It does seat 2, so you get twice the work done in half the time. And you don't have to go to the toilet comes to you. Because there's some poor guy on the back here pushing it through all the tunnels. So who do you guys think was lucky enough to get that job?
Oh, you would?
Who would you make push the honey wagon?
Oh shit, my dad was asking like, what if like someone gets like sick?
Someone gets sick?
Yeah, like if they had to leave and the honey wagon wasn't here.
Oh, no, they would be out of the mine if they were getting sick.
Okay.
Oh, if they got sick while they were pushing it around?
Yeah.
Còn nhất định phải về là giao dịch.
I don't think there's
Giao
anything
dịch.
in there now.
What if they just needed to go? Like, I mean, like.
Well, it got around to every miner twice in an 8-hour shift, so you have to hold it until you could get. We weren't worried about the first bit of business, we were worried about the second set of business. We didn't want it messing up the mine. Sorry, I'll let you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, if you got sick while you were pushing it around, well, at least you could throw up in there.
Alright.
No, we gave this job, the job of pushing around the honey wagon, we gave it to the new guy. One, we said that first of all, you got to learn all of your co-workers' names very well, because they were delighted to see you, quite happy to see that you were coming around. And two, you also got to know the mine very well. As you were pushing it through all the tunnels, you learned the layout, and that meant if there was an emergency, you could get out nice and quick. We understood if you left the honey wagon behind. Now, I think this is a little bit different than the toilet we're all used to at home now. Just a little bit. What's one of the differences? Anyone? No?
That the stuff doesn't, like, the stuff hangs out in the side of the box?
Well, it does hang out in the box, and it eventually gets flushed away, kind of. It does fill up eventually. When it does, you push it out of the mine. Hopefully you have the good sense to stand up here, and you turn this lever, which opens up the bottom, and everything flows out. Very sanitary. Once everything is out, very important, you absolutely have to close the lever, otherwise you'll have a very messy mine. Once that's all done, watch where you're going so you don't step at anything. As you climb down, push the honey wagon back inside and start filling it up once again with your coworkers. So they're kind of flushed. But there is something missing off of here, which I'm sure if we run out of it home, we're yelling at someone to bring us some more.
Tissue?
Exactly. No fluffy Charmin here. The mine didn't provide. They considered it a luxury. Men also didn't bring up their own. When your toilet paper comes and gets shipped up by boat, it becomes very expensive. So the rule here was, read it and then use it. So you had newspapers, magazines, and Sears catalog is what went in here as your toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
There is also one other problem. If you can imagine, this has just come over to your workstation, which is fantastic. You have to use it. So you rip down your coveralls, you rip off your pants, you jump up on one side, your coworker can jump up on the other side, and we can have the new guy standing there and waiting to push to the next crowd. Do you really want to jump up on the other side in front of everyone here?
No.
No. I don't want to either, and I definitely don't want to rip my pants off. So privacy could be a little bit of a concern. One, it was only men down here. Women were not allowed, and that's because we were considered bad luck, so we weren't allowed in the mines. Secondly, all this overhead lighting, like I said, didn't come in until after we were a museum. So it was very dark, and I'm going to show you just how dark it really was. So, if you guys can stand exactly where you are. Oh, we got a new lighter. I'm going to shut off the lights, but you guys stay there. I'll come back to you. If you look down this way, you can see how dark it would get.
Ồ.
Try to see your hand in front of your teeth. Except for the glow off the camera. Hang on, we'll turn on the lights. Oh. Darn child safety lighters. Just give me one moment here. There we go, nice and romantic. So in 1904, when you came down here, this is what you were using for light. You would come down using a candle that you would either purchase or made, as the company didn't provide these either. Spike it into the wall, and you would set to work once you found your miner's bullseye. Now, this is the light that was being used down here until at least 1919. And I told you there was a quiz. What year did the wood drill come out?
1905?
Very good. Speed, too. Very nice. 1905, exactly. So this is the light you were using with that first drill that we saw, the wood drill. That puts a whole new spin on mining, doesn't it? A lot of third world countries, this is still the only light that's being used in mining. And this is especially serious in a lot of cases like coal mining, where they do have to deal with methane gas, which is explosive, whereas here we didn't have to deal with that. The only gas we had was off the honey wagon. Added bonus though, if you did want privacy on the honey wagon, wasn't an issue. Nobody would see you anyways. They would just hear what you were doing. Now, 1919 came along, and we got this lovely invention, the calcium carbide lamp. So on the bottom here is that stuff that I mentioned, calcium carbide, and in the top, we're going to put just regular household tap water. Those two mix together, and they actually form acetylene gas. It's the same stuff that welders still use today. So there's just going to be a little bit of a pop. Oh, I said there's going to be a little bit of a pop. And it sometimes doesn't listen to you either. Try one more time and then we'll cheat with the lighter. There we go. That's better. Aha. So that gas there, oh, come on. Those two are mixing together and it's giving us a nice light. There we go. Which I think is a lot better than a candle. A lot better. Well, when we get it going. The problem with calcium carbide is that it only lasts for 4 hours. So you do have to bring down extra calcium carbide to replace with you halfway through your shift, as it looks like we have to now. But the added advantage of having the calcium carbide lamp was that this hook on the back can go right onto your hard hat. Does anybody see an issue with this?
That you're only looking at the top?
Well, yeah, you only have one direction worth of light, but more serious, you have an open flame on the top of your head.
That's okay.
So very careful when you're inspecting any of your dynamites, or if you're talking to anybody, as this can jump around quite a bit. Now, in the late 30s is when we came out with the first headlamps. They aren't quite as nice as the ones we're lucky enough to have today. The first ones, they use lead acid for batteries, and that was in a pack that weighed about 16 pounds that you were lucky enough to wear on your back. It did have a tendency to leak, and also had a nasty tendency to blow up. So, it's a lot better when we came out with the nickel-cadmium batteries. These ones are much lighter, only about 5 pounds, much safer too, and handier that you can now wear them on your belts. This simply goes up the back and clips in here, and the light clips in front. Today, I'm quite spoiled. That's it. Charges overnight, you don't have to worry about batteries, and it lasts for a lot longer, not just your shift, but it usually lasts for about 2 or 3 shifts, at least 16 hours, so much better. Less LEDs. Now we are going to get going out of the mine. Before we do, does anyone have any questions?
그거 따나 이거 이거. Yeah. LED from what?
He said it's like, he said it's a long time for LED light. That's cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is. It's exceptionally long. I usually don't charge this one for my entire week's worth of working. Granted, I'm not using it for 8 hours a day, but...
Is it normally really busy in here?
It will be busier come summertime. Right now, it's kind of off and on. We're just lucky today that we don't have any school groups, so it's a nice, quiet day.
Okay.
Now, this tunnel we don't use for the tours, but I will talk about it. It doesn't go very far. It's just up to here. This tunnel was used as a training tunnel for BCIT students, so they could learn how to do these arches and how to secure tunnels such as this one. It's also a very famous tunnel. In 2010, it was used to film Little Red Riding Hood. This was the Wolf's Den. Yeah, our little piece of fame.
What kind of BCIT students are they?
Sorry?
What kind of BCIT students in this program?
Engineering.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Engineering, mind mapping. There's one other one.
I guess my hard hat is in here?
Yes, we don't need our hard hats anymore, so you can throw those in there. Oh, no problem. Got a bit more to show you too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm getting there.
Now out here, yep. Oh yeah. Out here, the last thing I'm going to show you is our miner's whistle. This would have gone off to signal the start of the day as well as the end of the day. And if it ever went off 3 times, that would mean that there had been an emergency in the mine and a rescue team would go in to help whoever was stuck there. We still use it for that purpose today. Now we just find it more efficient to call 911. I am going to pull it once, and that's just to let the gift shop know that we are out safe and sound. So last loud noise, I get you to plug your ears one more time. Three,
Yeah.
2, 1.
Very big.
It is fairly loud, yeah.
How many levels does it go down the mine?
The mine? Well, this one, like I said, this isn't actually one of the tunnels that we were mining in. All the tunnels are in the back of the mountain here.
Okay.
They go down as far as 600 meters.
Okay.
So about